All right. So I should share. So what we're going to do today is walk through first the training slides, and then I can go into the system and actually walk you through in the staging server. I do have access as super admin, but I don't know that I have the exact same access as program administrator, so it might look a little bit different than what you'll see when you're logged in as a program administrator. But so I'll just go ahead, I'll start sort of walking through the slides, and then maybe pause for some questions before we look at the live site. So so after this, the whole point of this training is to help you understand how the software, the application process works for those seeking assistance through COVID Housing Assistance Program, how to create and manage a team of program administrators within your organization, reviewing and verifying applicant data and how to handle payment versus denial, and how to input an application for people who don't have access to the internet. So first we'll walk through the process from the applicant perspective, so you can see the features for the applicant as they're coming to join the program. Applicants submit information first by contacting United Way 211. They call into 211. They can text MN Rent to 211 and get routed a link to the application form, or they can go to the website. And from the website, when they click on the Apply Now button, it brings them into this online application. There's sort of 3 steps that the applicant goes through. There's the pre-application, which is the qualifying sort of screening questions. They have to go through those, and if they don't qualify for the program, if they earn too much income or don't have a COVID impact, they will get a denial page. But assuming, lots of people have made their way through, we have over 25,000 applications in the system. So then when they do that pre-application, they get a confirm account step that they have to take, just like anytime you sign up for like an online newsletter, they can use their cell phone number, so they can get a text message and do it through their phone, or they can use an email. And then once they confirm their account, they can go into the next step of the application, finish answering all the questions, and upload documents to their application. So as I said, it confirms the eligibility. So the first 3 questions are, about, do you live in Minnesota? Because if you don't, obviously you can't be part of the Minnesota program. Do you have a past due housing related bill? And is your housing issue due to unemployment, illness, or other issue as a result of the pandemic? There's a couple of other, they also put their name, whether they're a renter or a homeowner, and their address. And then they'll be able to select a program administrator and submit that. The next step when they log in, an important feature to know is that they can come in and they can see the status of their application. So they can see that they're in progress, that they've submitted their application, that verification is in progress. There are several statuses that they can see whether or not their application is approved or denied. And there's also some additional detail that says who their program administrator is. We recently changed the software so that they can do multiple assistance requests, but they only have access to begin a new assistance request when their initial assistance request has been approved or denied. So they can't have 2 assistance requests happening at the same time. They do have to be processed in the order received. And so I know that you guys are taking a lot of applications from organizations who had a high volume of applications come in. So some folks maybe have been waiting for a little while. So the ability to make a new request is something that just rolled out last week in the software. So that's kind of new for everyone. When they do an assistance request, they're putting in the assistance type, who the bill is due to. So if it's their landlord, mortgage company, utility company, the amount, and then they can do more than one. So they could request rent assistance and utility assistance, or mortgage assistance, homeowner association dues, and utility, like all on one assistance request. They can have multiples, but then when they submit that block of assistance requests, they can only have that one active at a time. So here's it showing more than one. And then they do have to provide income information, verification, so the past due bills that they have, their recent paycheck stubs, all that kind of information. And then there's a certification section that they need to complete in the software. Once they've done that, they cannot edit any of the information. So the pre-application, those initial questions, they cannot go back and edit that. While they're actively working on that next section of the application, they can edit it, but once they submit it for review, they can no longer edit it. So there's various statuses in the software. As we've said, there's application started, which means that the applicant has started working on their application, but they haven't submitted it as complete to you. There's application completed, which means that they've uploaded everything that they think they need to upload, check the boxes, and clicked submit for review. Verification as progress is the status that you will actually move applications into when you start working with them. And then there's application approved and application denied, which is actually a red button that apparently is missing. So now we'll walk into the program administrator view and see how that will work for you. So to access your account, later today, I'll be sending out an email with login instructions to the person designated as administrator for the software. So probably, many of you folks in the training today are that person. And then that person will be the administrator for your organization. And then they will invite others within the organization to your team within the software. So how that works is I'll send out a link. You click the link and create your account. When you create your account, you'll come in, and this is the initial dashboard that you see when you come into the system. So then you just scroll to the bottom of the screen and click on Manage Team Members. And then that brings you into this screen, and you click on the Invite New Team Members, and then this is what pops up is a section where you can add additional folks. And so you simply need their email and their name, and then the role of admin or manager. Really the primary difference is just that the admin person can invite people at the admin level. A manager level can only invite people at a manager level. At this point, there really isn't any different functionality in the software. In the future, when it comes to the end of the period and being able to download all of the data from the system, that will likely be only available at the administrator level within the software. And so you enter the name and email, and then if you want to type a message, you can type a message in and click the confirm and send, and an email will go out to folks on your team. It is a good idea, of course, to check your spam or junk folder to make sure that you find the email, because sometimes they will end up in there. And then as a admin agency, you can come in and update some information. There's very little information that's shared publicly with applicants. It really is just your organization's name and email and website address. We're not sharing individual contact information because there's such a high volume of questions and inquiries that you'll just be overwhelmed if we put any individual contact information out there. And so, but to update any of your organization information, it's within this manage your organization section here in the organization details. So for your team members, when you send them that email, they'll get an email that looks like this. It does come from no reply at it'll be no reply at housinghelpmn.org. And it'll say, you know, hello, you're invited to be a manager, or hello, you're invited to be an administrator. And then you simply click on the hyperlink and it brings you in where you enter your email and your password, and you'll be able to log in. So again, this is the primary dashboard that you see as a program administrator. When you're in the software, all of that other information is over there in Manage Account. But when you're ready to work with your applicants, you click on this list icon. That's how you get in to see the applicants who are on your list. And like you can see right now, it has just a high level of information on this card showing you the number of applicants on your list, and the estimated weight is from from a different piece of software that's not relevant, but we didn't strip it out. So when you click on that, the list, it brings you into this, which is that applicant list of everyone who you'll be working with within your organization. And there's some new filtering options that are available. So you can search for applicants by name, email, or phone number here in this search bar, or back on this page right from here. If you're on the phone with someone and they have a question, you can look them up right here. An important thing to note with phone numbers is that you want to search using like 1-612-522-2500 with no dashes, but you definitely want to include the 1. And so that's how you search for folks. And then you can filter by those different statuses. So in progress is someone working on that application. Submitted is someone who is has submitted it to you for review, and you can see it'll look like this over here, their submitted status. Verification means that you're working on it, that you've moved it into verification in progress mode. Denied, approved, and paid, I think are relatively self-explanatory. If you're working in a multi-county jurisdiction, you can filter by county. You can clear your filters, and then there's a new default view that we're adding, which will really move it so that when you log into the software, you'll just see those households that are in progress or submitted who are ready for you to work on, and your list won't be cluttered with folks who are in that denied, approved, and paid status. So to actually sort of pick up an application and start working with it, you click on the applicant name or the ID number, and it opens up and shows you their application. And then you'll see a name block with their contact information, and then right below that, the assistance request section. And if you're ready to begin working on it, you click into this Begin Assistance Request button, and then you'll go down to the bottom of the screen and select Begin Verification and start working with the application. The first thing you want to look for is what information is missing. Obviously, you need a release of information form signed by the household. Minnesota Housing provides that form, and so typically a first step that people take is they're sending someone an email or calling them and having them complete that release of information form, but then also looking at, do you have all of the information you need to verify their income, the past due housing bill, and any other details that you might need from the applicant. You can add a note from the dashboard within the software or from within the applicant page itself. And then, so it's a good idea if more than one person is working with applicants to add notes into the software so that so everyone in the organization can see what's happening. And also when the state monitors, they can see the activity that's taking place. I know they have a protocol where you're expected to contact someone at least 3 times before you can mark them as non-responsive or withdrawn. So most organizations are keeping those notes right within the software using that note function. But you do need to actually pick up the phone or send an email from your own email to contact the household. You don't do that from within the software. If you're ready to approve payment, so they've gotten you all their documentation and you've been able to attach it to their file, then again, you click on that begin assistance request to go back in, and you're gonna look at it and say, yep, it's a rental payment to their landlord. And you need to make sure to enter the bill start date and the bill end date. And then the household has already entered their requested amount, and then you enter what you're actually approving for payment. And then you, and the service dates and bill dates have been sort of used interchangeably between Minnesota Housing and the software. So sometimes you might see it referenced as a service date or a bill date, and they're really both the same thing. And then, so once you've entered those dates and the amount, you scroll down to the bottom of the page. If you still, if you realize in the process, oh, we're missing something still, you can just click the save button. If you are ready to approve payment, you can click the approve payment button. And if you're going to deny because maybe it's not actually a past due bill, maybe I submitted for my November rent and it's October 20th and you can't pay that, then you would deny that payment, and they would have to come back and create a new assistance request once November 1st rolls around. So to add notes, like I said, there's the add note button that's within the software, and you literally click that, this little box pops up, you click in it and you can type right in it and save the note, and then it adds it to the notes within the applicant activity as well as on the dashboard. And then we do have a help site with a lot of little videos. They do not have sound, but they sort of walk you through the software and help answer questions. So this is the link to that video. We will obviously send out this slideshow after this training as well, so you don't have to try to write this down. And there's really a lot of helpful information within here. And then an important thing, a lot of households you'll see are just the applicant in progress, and they'll have this no internet in red as a flag on their application. That means there's someone who called into United Way 211 and indicated that they don't have the ability or wherewithal to complete the application themselves online. So those folks are the ones that you need to call and help them walk through the application over the phone, or I guess maybe in person if anyone is doing in-person hours. So to do that, you've contacted that household, you click their applicant name or ID, come into their application, and then you're going to click the continue assistance request to go in and help them add an assistance request. If they haven't started anything, it will be add assistance request that you would click into. And then you help attach files to the application. It's like any other document upload system. You can give the document a name if you want to or not. You don't have to. You click choose file, and then you grab the file from your desktop, or if someone is using their phone, from their photos, and upload it, and you can add multiple documents. At this point, when the applicant does submit their application for review, it's not allowing additional uploads. We are working on changing that, and hopefully by early next week, that function will be available so they can attach documents at any point to their assistance request. When you are editing an application, if you've done anything in it, you want to make sure that you scroll to the bottom of that page and click save, because otherwise anything that you've done will be lost. So it is important to hit that save button. And then a little more on editing and notes. Every application has, every edit and every change that you make, there is a note logged in the system. This helps for the audit trail for Minnesota Housing, and also just for you, so that you know what's going on with applicants across the organization. And so you can see it logs the date, who the user is. So like if I was logged in as me, it would say Sue Speakman Gomez, what the event was, and then any note that was added to the software. Well, software isn't still pending, but there's still some changes pending in the software. And so those are the ability to download the applicant information. As we get towards the end of the project will have it so that folks can download things for your own record keeping. And then also moving an applicant to withdrawn status. Right now, we don't have the ability to mark someone as withdrawn, and that too should be hopefully available by early next week at the latest. There are households that, as you reach out, are not responsive or found a different way to pay their bill because it's been a period of time, and so you'll want to be able to mark them as withdrawn. So the sort of the program rules all come from the program guideline in Minnesota Housing, and they do have their Q&A sessions Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It's important to know that if you're an open program administrator on the public site, we can only close your list to the public being able to join with written permission from Minnesota Housing. So if you're getting more applicants than what you think you can handle, you need to contact Minnesota Housing about closing your list. And then we do have the ability to close it so that no more applicants can join the list, but we can't do that without written consent from Minnesota Housing. So it's in the program guide, and believe me, if you ask us, we will tell you, because that has to be done in partnership with them, because there's several steps to closing a list. And if you are not familiar with this webpage at Minnesota Housing, you will want to get very familiar with it. This is the page where they have their program guide, where they have the translated forms for the applications. They have it in Spanish, Somali, and Hmong. They have the marketing materials on the site, as well as all of the Q&A sessions and training videos and things that have been out there. There have been significant changes to the software though, so if they still have the old training video out there, I would say don't bother watching it. So this will serve you better. So this is me. This is the end of the slides that I'm going to walk through. This is my contact information, speakman@housinglink.org. Feel free to reach out to me if you have questions or issues. You will each have a program administrator contact. We have a client services team at Housing Link that's helping to support the software. And so it will be Sunny, Sherry, or Landis who will be assigned to you, and we'll make sure that they reach out to you later this week so you know who they are. It'll be faster to get an answer out of them if you contact them. So I can pause here and take a few questions, or I could just keep rolling into the next to show you the live software on the staging site if you'd like. So if you have a question, feel free to speak up. All right. I'll stop sharing and get the site pulled up. All right. So anytime that you come to the site, this is what it looks like. You land kind of on this initial application page for folks, but then the login button is in the upper right. So you simply click on that, and then this is where you'll enter your email or your phone number. And this is the staging site, so this is not the live website. And we do have sort of de-identified data in the staging site. And hopefully it loads. Okay, good, they're not doing anything. So when you log in as a program administrator, you won't see all of the organizations. As super admin, obviously I can see that. So your dashboard would basically cut off right below that first white block here. And so again, to manage your account, you come in and you can see this is where you would edit profile and do different things. Again, it's a little bit different because as super admin, I have some different functionalities, but that's where that manage your team is that you can click on and then go in and add more people. So again, you can search applicants right here on this page, or you can come in and look at your list. Oh, a new feature that we've added that I didn't have on the slides is when you click on this view list details, you will bring up a card that gives you kind of some status information about your list. So it'll show you the total number of applicants on your list, the total number of assistance requests. Again, an applicant can have more than one assistance request, so this number might start to grow and be larger than the total number of applicants. The total of pending requests, the number of verification process, approved, denied, paid, and then total amount applied for by households on your list, and the total amount that you've approved for payment that you've marked within the system. So that's kind of a useful tool for monitoring and managing what's happening on the list. And then to go back to your applicant list, you just click this view applicants and it brings you back to that list of applicants. So here you can see all of the folks who are on the list. And then right here, this little plus sign, you can click that to add a note. And so I'm just going to say my test note. And then you can see right here, I'm logged in as super admin, and it added my note right there into the contact log here. And then I'm already working on this person. I come in to look at more of their information, so I can see everything that they submitted on their application. You can see what they put on their pre-application by selecting that show pre-application. So, I mean, they said yes, yes, yes. They have 5 people. 2,700 is their income, etc. You can see here if they say yes or no to that internet, and then your preferred app organization, and obviously you're approved if you've made it this far in the process. You can click edit applicant information to come in, and this is where if you're helping someone over the phone or you'd be helping them enter all this information. And so if you did make any changes, you would want to click the save button on that. And then to work on that assistance request, you would come in and say begin assistance request. I'll also just show this is here within this applicant where you can add a note. You can see my lovely note right here shows up in this list here. So everything that's in here is also on that dashboard in the contact log. So if you make a note, you're not going to lose it. And so this one, you can see how you come in, you know, do the assistance request, the bill start and end dates, the requested and approved amounts, all the information about income and what the income is. Again, the documents, and I'll just show you since we're on the live site, you can open the file. I bet it won't take that because it's on PDF. So you can pick a file and attach it. You can add more documents if you want to. I forgot to give it a name, so we're just going to call it bill. So I can add another document if I want to. I can say, oh, that was the wrong one, and just click the red X, and it deletes it right out of the software. The household needs to complete these certification checkboxes. They are the ones that are certifying that they're applying for the assistance, that they are not receiving any other assistance to pay for this expense, and so on, and the Tennyson warning. So save, approve payment, and deny when you're working on it with them. If you're helping a household over the phone with their application and they don't have access to the internet, you can click the checkboxes for them and submit their application with their verbal approval over the phone. Minnesota Housing has said that that is okay. So that's an important thing to know. So when you're working on this assistance request, you know, you can say like, oh, it didn't actually, I don't know. I don't have anything. I can't actually do anything with this. I have to ask the applicant for the bill. And so then you would just save this one. And then this is the point at which you might want to add a note and say, you know, calling for copy of bill or whatever it might be. And then you save that note, and then it's right there on that applicant record, and you have recorded that next step that you're taking to contact the household. To go back to your list, you just click back to listing, and it brings you back into the list here. Some of the lists, maybe I'll show a longer one. Some of the organizations have thousands of applicants. And so then when you get into that, there is, this one is 291. There'll be several pages across the top. And so you can jump to the last page of all of the applicants or anywhere in between. And when you are doing so, if you click into someone's application, then when you click that back button, it will bring you, like if I'm on page 4 and I scroll down, I don't know, I've clicked on this one to work on 17865 and I go back to listing, it will bring you back to page 4, but not specifically to applicant 1785. So you'd have to scroll back down to find them again, just so you know. Looks like there's a question, and so I'll read that and answer it. Well, there's 2. 1, do I understand correctly that if the applicant goes to our website address first, is the expectation that there would be a link to the United Way? Yes, that is what the state has said, that everyone who's applying needs to go through 211 to access. And so, like, we even at Housing Link, like we developed the software, the link goes to 211 and they click on that apply now button on 211 site to get redirected to the housinghelpmn.org to apply. And 2, could you clarify the functionalities of roles for super admin, admin, and manager? So super admin is only Housing Link and our team, because we manage the entire software system. Admin is really just has the ability to invite people at admin level or at manager level. Manager has the ability to invite someone at a manager level, but can't invite someone at an admin level. When it comes to shutting down the system and being able to download everything out of the software, that likely will be at the admin level only and not available for people in the manager role. But currently in the software, there really isn't a significant difference between admin and manager. So if there's any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat or speak up. Let's see, one other thing I was gonna point out is, so there's a lot of information even just right on the dashboard here where you can see if it's a renter or a homeowner applicant. It gives you the percent they are at the federal poverty guidelines. It gives you the number of people in the household, their income, their address, contact information, and email. These are de-identified because it's the staging server. And then the different status, and the date at which that status occurred. Because again, the state has dictated in the program guide, you're supposed to be processing applicants in the order that they're received. So you want to make sure that you're starting with the oldest applications, working towards the most current. And we're in process of making a change right now in the software where we're actually going to be defaulting to these 3 statuses being the ones that show up in your list all of the time. And so you actually don't see the denied, approved, and paid. You really just are seeing the 3 statuses that are the ones that you would be working on. And then if you want to clear those filters and see everyone in your list, you would just click clear filters and it gets rid of all of those. And I bet if I go towards the end of the list, will I maybe see, okay, well, now you can see some homeowner versus renter. Oh, did I not clear? Well, you can also just add them all. So here you can see now, this is someone who is denied, this is someone who's marked as paid, this is someone who's marked as approved. So when you have everything selected, you can see all of the statuses in the software. And then if you're like, okay, that was great to know, I just want to go back to that initial view. Right now it's called default view. That likely is going to have a different name when it goes live into the general site. We are constantly taking your feedback and trying to make small enhancements and improvements to the software. So please let your client services representative know if you have any suggestions or changes to the software. If we can make them, we will. We are limited in capacity on developer time now, but we are taking those and working through those as we can to try to make it work a little bit better for folks. So this is the software. I think the other thing I could show is really marking someone as approved for payment in the system. Good question, Allison. So I mentioned processing in date order, and you're asking, is there still priority given to 200% versus 300% poverty guideline? The state, to my knowledge, has not given guidance around how you might prioritize people at 200% versus 300%. So I would actually ask Diane or Nancy or that state email for their guidance around that, because they haven't given us guidance on how to do anything in the software to prioritize the 200% and below households. So that was a great question. And there's a few things, like if you ask us a question, we're like, we can't actually answer that. We'll just point you back to Minnesota Housing, but you know, feel free to ask. We're happy to answer if we can. So I'm just going to show this one's in a submitted status. We've got some documents. So when you have documents, you literally just click on that link, and it's not working because it's in the staging server, but it will open it up in a new window so you can see those attachments. And then, you know, I'm going to move this person through to approved because it's the staging server. So we're going to say, okay, yep, it's their utility assistance. I'm just going to put in some bill dates, September 30th. All right, 1 to 30, and then we're going to say, yep, the whole thing. Well, that would probably be a longer period of time, but, and then going down, you've already worked with them to verify that income. So you probably are going to have more documents in here because you'll upload your release of information into the system. A lot of folks are doing that. And then, oops, I didn't actually move them into begin verification. So I do have to do that, but it saved all of that information that I typed in. So that's all already here. So then I'll come down and I'm just going to say, yep, this one's approved for payment. And then it moves them, and now you can see they're in an approved status. When the applicant logs in to look at their record, they'll see this approved status, and they'll also see this information about your grant administrator has reviewed and approved it for payment. And then if you want to go ahead and mark it as paid, then you just, you know, come in and mark it as paid. If you need to move it back into re-verification status because maybe something changed, maybe you had a call from the utility company when you were about to send the bill and they said, oh, I don't know, we had a clerical error and it's $50 less or something, you could move it back into re-verify status and change it. Also, I'll show you, if you do mark someone as denied, you can, so just deny payment, you can take that household and, you know, say they appeal because they have the ability to appeal, then you would come into their record and you can actually go right down to the bottom and you'll see that re-verify is there. You'll be able to click re-verify and it brings them back into that verification status, and you can go through and process it again and then approve for payment if that indeed is the right thing to do with that application. If you do deny someone, you do want to mark their approved dollar amount as 0 because the approved dollar amount does go on reports to Minnesota Housing. So you want to make sure that all your denied assistance requests are at 0. And you can see all of those actions that I took on this applicant record are showing up right here in this notes section. So again, everything that happens in the system, you can see who does it, and the system takes notes just on system changes, and then if you actually type something, then it records those as well. So this is the software. The other thing that we are doing is on a weekly basis, we are sending out a report to the program administrators, to that primary contact. That report includes sort of the summary information about all of the applicants in the system, what status they're at, the total amounts requested and the total amounts approved. And that is so that you can sort of see the progress, but also so that you can sort of match up against what Minnesota Housing is looking at when they are making their disbursement payments to your organizations. And so whomever that primary admin contact is, that I'll be sending out the email to invite you to the software, that person is the one who will get that report. So if we send it and you're like, oh, I'm not the person who should actually get it, just let us know and we can update that as well. So I think that's all I have for you. Is there any other questions or? I have a question here in the chat. Does the system send out approval or denial letters to the applicants? No, the system does not. And I don't believe that Minnesota Housing, that they had a grievance policy language. I don't know if they actually created the denial letter. But those do have to go out from your organization. The system doesn't send any official communications out. It just updates the status.
Question. I noticed for the release of information that is either electronically signed or mailed out to people to sign back. So then we couldn't take a verbal release we couldn't verbally accept like the consent for a release of information. Is that correct?
So Minnesota Housing would have to answer that for sure. But I believe
that's what the program guide says. I'm just clarifying. So if we contact the person on the phone, we're just telling them that we're going to be sending them out that if we haven't already received it, correct?
I think so.
Okay. Okay, I'm just trying to marry the guide to the software in the process.
Yes.
Okay, I can direct that question to Minnesota Housing as well. I think my other question was, do the referrals come, as the administrator, do I need to request referrals, or how are referrals generated into my list of people?
So when there's two ways that people show up in your list. One is every applicant, when they're doing that pre-screening, which I can just go to that and show that full screen. They are selecting who they would like to work with as their program administrator. So if you're showing in the public list, as I come through as an applicant and say, yes to these questions, and I put in my name, and my household size, and my income, email, and all of this, and then this is where I say I'm a renter, and then I have to enter an address. As I enter my address, it actually pulls up a list of organizations that I can select from. This list is random, so it's based on the geography of where my household is, but the list is actually randomly generated based on all of the providers who are in the system. So every time I come in, I wouldn't necessarily see the organizations in this order. Like Salvation Army Twin Cities might be at the top one time, Latino Economic Development Center might be at the top one time. So as an applicant, I select what organization I want to work with just by clicking that button. And then when I click submit, that's the list that I will show up on, the applicant list. If I have called into 211, the 211 staff will actually say, oh, there's 4 organizations that are working with renter applicants in your area. These are the names of the organizations. Which one would you like to sign up with? We do have the other languages spoken, so that if someone is looking for a specific language that they do know, who has different languages available to them within that program administrator. So that's one way that people show up in your list, is when they're doing that pre-application process. The other way is we do transfers from one organization to another within the system. So like, I know some of you are joining the software because you are going to be taking applicants from a different organization. And so we actually, as super admin, will just like move those folks from the initial organization over to your organization, and they will be in your list.
One last question. On your slide, it said that you would be setting up online accounts next week. Is that accurate for this group of people, or is that case by case?
So I will, later today, I'll be able to email out the login to whoever the primary administrator is for your organization, and then that person will be able to invite everyone to the software.
Okay, that would make sense. All right, that's all my questions.
So sorry, that was probably a carryover from the original training.
Got it.
Great. Any other questions? I do want to point out, when you're doing the phone number search, not only do you want to use you need to do +1, not just 1-612. You have to do +1 when you're looking up someone's phone number. I forgot the plus. So yeah, in the chat, Amy entered a good example. And then on the help site, we do have, a lot of answers to questions, and you'll have your program, your, Sunny Landis or Sherry that you'll have as a primary contact for help. So feel free to reach out and ask them questions. And I think that's all I've got for you. So I can give you guys 10 minutes of your day back. So thanks everyone for joining the training, and